Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Backcast. Ryan, I'm up and talking Brad on Kenny about Batman, the animated series, and this week's episode is Paging the Crime Doctor. How you doing today, sir?
There's a doctor in the house. I didn't get any forward notice about this.
Oh, fuck. What is Harrison Ford's name in
Shrink.
Fugitive? Uh,
Oh,
uh, in Fugitive?
oh gosh.
What was the
Kimball, Dr. Kimball.
yeah. Yeah, there's somewhere else where something else where they're in the hospital and they did a paging Dr. Kimball soon after that, and I always forget where it was, and so it was obviously like a reference to that, but now I'm totally blanking on what that was. No, I love remembering like random pop culture facts, man. Sometimes just where it's from just gets lost in the brain, and it's just kind of in there.
That's what we got this
But
podcast for.
exactly. So as I said, this week's episode is Paging at the Crime Doctor. It is the 53rd episode to be produced, and it was the 65th episode to air, having it air on September 17th, 1993. So yeah, so almost a full year after it first started. So it was directed by Frank Power. So I think I hope I'm saying that Frank Power or Parr. What do you think?
Yeah, it's French.
Nah, nah, fuck that. So
Watch that be
it's
how
good.
it's actually pronounced.
So in that case, I'm okay with pronouncing it wrong then. The story is by Mike W. Barr. I think that name sounds familiar. I think he's done at least one or two other ones, I think. And Laren Bright, I think that's right. And the teleplay is by Randy Rogel and Martin Pasco.
Okay. Some new
So
names
yeah.
in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's always fun when they get the story by and the teleplay by, yeah, because like more like what the teleplay is just kind of like the general story idea and stuff, and then like that, then no, the story is that way, and the teleplay is the actual like proper like TV script and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, so it's always good to get like a second group of people to go through and just kind of trim things and whatnot. I was trying to say something else, but I totally lost it there.
I always assumed that
Yeah,
teleplay
the
meant
Chris.
back when like they were like, working from like different sides of the country. It was like, we're gonna give you the pitch of the story over the phone so you can, clean it up for us.
Well, that could be kind of what it is. I just got
Yeah.
kind of just like basic story, then yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that it could be one way of doing it. Yeah. So, but yeah, basically the same idea.
Yeah, but this is not a phoned in script. But it's a nice episode. I mean, it's once again kind of one of those plain clothes kind of character study episodes, but yeah, we're introduced to one Matthew Thorne and apparently I found this out just before we start recording. This is actually based on the comics. I thought this was an original idea, but apparently in the comics, Rupert Thorne's brother, Matthew, is in fact the crime doctor. He's just, I think, a little bit more, had takes a cynical kind of angle to it. So he's like basically kind of like like a supervillain.
Oh, so he actually, so on like the this episode, he's actually like leaning into it and actually liking it instead of being forced into it, sort of thing.
That's the impression I got. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so I kind of like that. They kind of changed that for the younger audience, I guess. To so yeah, it seemed like he was somewhat forced into it, and then we'll get into that near the end of the episode there. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, so yeah, I got in another episode where this kind of starts off with like a shot of one of the bridges going into Gotham. Then what then I forget like how this episode actually. Oh yeah, it starts off with like kind of pans, and then it goes to the armored truck or whatever, and then the ambulance is following it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I always thought like the then they start then they put the eye sirens on, and the guy's like, hey, slow up so they can let him go by. And then as it starts to pass, one guy on the passenger side or whatever, it starts firing at it. But like wouldn't like armored cars have like better tires that would like at least repel like some
You'd think,
uh,
right?
is that an actual thing? Do you think?
would like to
'Cause,
think so. I mean, if I'm
yeah,
trying to rob an armored truck, that's the first thing I'm gonna do
yeah,
is
yeah,
shoot out
yeah,
the
yeah.
tires.
Yeah, that would be there because because obviously the rest of it is going to be like bulletproof to some extent, you would think. Yeah, so that made sense. But so I was like, so initially I was thinking like, dude, what are you shooting at it for? I thought if you're working for Rupert Thorne, you must be like a tad smarter than this. So then I was like, okay, they're going for the tires.
Did you also notice that the thug looks like the sea captain from The Simpsons?
Well, initially I was there. I was thinking like I thought it was like another bad Bruce get
You
up
thought it was a Bruce
that
disguise?
yeah initially I guess with that bad voice and stuff. And then I was like, oh okay, no, it's just like just a bad beard.
Yar, be matches Malone. I'm not attractive.
So yeah, and then one point they got like as they're doing it, like they if I was in the guards, like I would you would think that with like the rest of the vehicle being bulletproof, like the glass would be too. So like, they had like the window down to allow them to throw the like that smoke bomb in or whatever the fuck, or like the knockout gas or whatever. So like roll the
Hmm.
fucking window up, and then too that was like a fucking really good shot or a very lucky shot to be able to get that smoke bomb like in the window, like as you're fucking flying down like the road at like they're probably going at least like 50, 60 kilometers, like
Oh,
miles an
easily, yeah.
hour. Oh, yeah, so it was an extremely good shot.
Yeah. So yeah, these thugs they break into they manage to, like overtake the armored car and they take this package out from it and inside is a laser gun. A freaking laser. Like a I guess it's like a medical laser as they kind of determine
Yeah,
later on, but
but what was the thing though? Like, if it is like a medical like laser device, like why is it gun shaped?
yeah, that's a
Like it should
good
be,
point.
it should be like one of the things that looks like it attaches to like a Terminator thing where it just like latches on and kind of gets directed that way or whatever. Not like a
Yeah,
fucking gun for like human use to be like, haha, like using like like a rifle like stance and be like, I'm gonna shoot you in the
yeah.
brain now with my laser. Burr, burr, burr. Like
Yeah, this thing is
I,
like the size of like an AK-47.
yeah, it looks like it looks like a like a gun cable hat from the future when he came back in the X-Men
You know
cartoon.
what it looks like? It looks like one of those laser guns that they have on the Spider-Man cartoon that they keep shooting at. Like,
Yeah,
compare the guns of Gotham or the guns of the Gotham police in this show to like the cops in the Spider-Man cartoon who are like shooting lasers because I guess that's the funny thing. It's like they're both on a Fox network and it's like you have to have like old style guns for this show. Meanwhile, later on in the time slot, it's freaking laser guns that look like something out of Star Wars. But yeah, that as they're trying to make their escape with the laser, that's when Batman comes in. He tackles him on top of the car, and he's like trying to like pull open the roof. They're shooting at him from like the underside of the car roof, and one of them manages after he's like manages to get them out of the car, manages to shoot part of his ear off with the laser. And it was kind of a good sound effect because like that was the thing that like kind of going back to the comparison of the Spider-Man cartoon, when they shot a laser, it was just kind of like I don't know, it was like a stun gun or something like that. But here, like you see the thing kind of sizzle as it like hits like his ear. So like it shows more of an impact. I liked it.
yeah, and then also like somehow like we find out when he goes to Lizzie Tompkins that like, somehow a laser gave him a concussion.
I didn't think about that. But yeah. Oh, wait,
Yeah,
was it the laser or
like
was it him landing on the cable car?
you like it was after like he got shot when he was all like woozy and stuff, so that's why
Yeah.
he kind of went to Leslie afterwards. I took it as that. So which I thought was weird. You think it would like fire off some like brain cells or something instead of just
Yeah.
you know giving the brain a little shake. But
He's got brain
what
cancer now.
what do I know about? Yeah, but what do I know about fucking lasers? So I don't have I don't have sharks with like freaking laser beams on their heads, so like I haven't I really needed to read up on them. So,
We have sea bass.
but I'll say. But I think it was yeah, in this fight where like where he's like kind of dodging like a laser and it's cutting through like boxes and stuff. And I couldn't remember like it made me think of another like cartoon that had a laser, but it was like programmed to only to hit like certain things. So like it was so like they had cornered the person and like so they're like, oh no, it's going to get me. And then it just kind of cut through their clothes and not like tissue because it like right before it went to get stolen or whatever, it's only programmed to for like tissue for like yeah,
All right.
tumor removal or some shit. Then I can't fucking remember like what that was from, but that made me think of that. And
Well,
again, that just like random.
what makes me think of when it comes to like Batman dodging laser fire is when Batman like managed to dodge Darkseid's Omega beams, which if you guys don't know, the entire purpose of those Omega beams is that they never miss ever.
Because they're all like they'll like follow and
They
stuff.
zigzag.
It like kind of looks like like the laser bikes from Tron, but a little more
Yeah.
hit a corner instead of doing like a curved line or whatever sort of thing, and they'll
And this
just
is the
like
same
follow
Batman in the DCAU who will eventually dodge those lasers. And Darkseid just goes, "What the shit?"
it.
Yeah, as he's trying to get away from these guys, he collapses on top of a cable car, like, and they're like, well, at least we killed the Batman. And even when they cut to Rupert Thorne, he's like, "You thought you killed Batman?"
But yeah, so like but yeah, like you see like there's like one shot that's kind of looking out on the water or whatever, and you see he's landed on the trolley or whatever the fuck
Mhm.
that's going that goes across there too. Yeah. So do you think that it didn't look like that trolley was really big, so there must be like multiple on one line because like if you're try because if that's imagine that's probably there to in place of like, having like a bus or like a subway or a streetcar going across a bridge to like help
Right.
minimize traffic. But like, so if you're doing that, like going across, like it must have multiple going because that wasn't very big. Because you would be because I imagine Gotham's probably bigger than like almost like New York size compared to like Toronto size. So always thought it was like poor design, like good for Batman that was there, but like poor design that was so small for like imagine how many people fucking would be using it. I
So
thought.
when it comes to infrastructure, they're always like, what, like 60 years behind in this universe? Like, come on, Maurice, we're gonna go take the Zeppelin to work today.
Yeah, like Zeppelin. Yeah, I always say like Zeppelin transit wouldn't be like very efficient. I don't think.
No. And if you don't have tickets, then Indiana Jones throws you out the window.
That's only if you're Nazis. So don't be a Nazi. It's okay.
I would be okay with more Nazis being thrown out of the windows.
Well, that part, yes, but like,
Yeah.
so as long as you not Nazi, you could probably get on the Zeppelin. It's
Yeah.
it's more so what I got, and maybe not explode as well.
So yeah, we cut to this uh scene of Rupert Thorne talking to his thugs, and they're like, we managed to get the laser for them. And as they're talking, they're walking into this kind of makeshift clinic of one Dr. Matthew Thorne, Rupert's brother. And he's known as the crime doctor in this crew because he, fixes up the thugs, like, takes care of like whatever injuries they have. And he is less than thrilled about this occupation that's kind of been forced onto him. So before we get into the details of Matthew Thorne's origin, I pointed this out to you. The voice of Matthew Thorne is the same actor who voiced the lizard, Joseph Campanella, on the Spider-Man cartoon.
Was it like just made you like the lizard part, or was he like Doc
I think he
Connors
did both.
slash lizard? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've gone back to those episodes. Yeah, so I didn't quite pick that out because which I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, because I watched the shit out of like Spider-Man though. But anyway, I remember like at the old station, like when I was doing midnight shifts, like one time, and then like we had like the one bank of TVs at the top as returns just to make sure that our shows were going out okay. And I turned one on to like Fox or whatever at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and one of the episodes of Spider-Man the animated series came on, and it was like one of
Nice.
the episodes that had the Hobgoblin in it. And then I didn't at the time I didn't realize that the Hobgoblin in that series was also Mark Hamill,
Mhm.
and it was because it was basically his Joker voice. Right. So I was listening. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that voice. So how the Joker on there? And I was like, oh, it's a Hobgoblin. And I was like, then looked it up, and I was like, okay, that was obviously Mark Hamill doing it. So which I which I thought was funny. It's like not that it just sounded like Mark Hamill, but it like sounded like Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah.
But
You got a
but as
picture
I
like
said, like
them
what
like just going from like probably one side of town to the other in the same day. Like we're basically doing the same voice. Like, oh my gosh, you guys,
no,
I'm
it's
really
probably
tired.
that was probably just like the next voice booth down and then in the next
Yeah.
studio. Really, he's like, yeah, he got to hang out. I got Joker from like 8 to 3, so I could probably
Yeah.
come do Hobgoblin from like 4 to like 6 or something like that, and do like a couple lines or whatever. Yeah,
Why am I always number one on the call sheet? Oh, that's right, because God's given me a gift.
yeah. But yeah, but I think at the time I was watching this, I wasn't. I think I was just like passingly aware of like Star Wars and stuff, so I probably wouldn't have didn't definitely didn't know like that Luke Skywalker was the Joker and Hobgoblin at the time. So like now, obviously, like a couple of years later, when the special editions came out and stuff, and kind of like I went to the theater to go, went to the theater on Lansdowne Street in Peterborough. That was in the old mall there. We saw the special edition Star Wars, and then that's kind of what got me into be more of a Star Wars guy. And then later on, probably around that time is when I figured out. I'm like, oh, I've been listening to this guy for fucking years and didn't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely very versatile in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like there's a couple interviews you see on like talk shows and stuff where he does like a pretty good impression of Harrison Ford when he's like we talk about like behind the scenes
Oh
stuff or
yeah.
whatever and just kind of go and like goes into his voice. Yeah, it ain't that tough movie, kid.
I like when he does the interview there he's talking about spoilers, guys, for anybody who hasn't seen the sequel trilogy. I can't say I blame you for not, but when he's talking about Luke's death and he's like, "So Luke overdosed on the Force?" It's ironic. I I I can forgive a lot of Last Jedi, but that death scene, Luke Skywalker vanishes like a fart in the wind. Like no, like screw that noise. Anyway, so back to the crime doctor. So Matthew Thorne is Rupert's brother, as we mentioned, and yeah. So in the comics, it looks like he was more than okay with being, this kind of like supervillain, surgeon. Whereas here, he's definitely more reluctant to do it. So basically, the reason why he's doing this is because years ago there was a slug in his brother's arm. He went to Matthew for, medical treatment. And later on it led to incrimination that, got him, his like
Yeah,
medical license
you got
revoked.
that. Yeah, you got disbarred. Yeah, because you're supposed to like
Yeah.
as a doctor is supposed to do if you got a patient comes in with a gunshot, you're supposed to report it to the police, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And then obviously like somebody else saw it, and then yeah, I got disbarred for that.
Yeah. And
So
it's very
then
similar to
obviously
the
it's
Thomas Wayne
okay.
Falcone story where he
Oh yeah,
like,
oh yeah, it was like heart surgery or something. I think it was or something. Or
I think it was also a slug in the arm or something. Like he was like basically had nowhere else to go, and Thomas Wayne was like, "Well, I'm a doctor, and I've sworn the Hippocratic oath, so I guess I got to do it." And Bruce Wayne was like watching it. And if you guys remember in the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, they basically retell that exact story. So it's a nice kind of homage to it. And Thomas Wayne slightly plays a part in this episode, but we'll get to that later on. But I like that it really puts these characters into interesting positions because yeah, you and I like we joke like when we're talking about like the details of these episodes and these stories about like, well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't you do that? But like it really does kind of put a character like Matthew Thorne in a very tight position because it's like it's my brother. Like, what do you want me to do here? Like, it's this like I'm torn between my duty as both a brother and a doctor, and also, like my obligation to, like the oath I swore. So it's a very interesting moral conundrum, and I like it when the
And
writers
I
kind of play
and
with
I
that
also know
idea.
what he'll do if I don't do this as well.
Oh
And
yeah,
on top of that, yeah. So
yeah.
it's not just the usual like, oh, it's my brother versus my job sort of thing. Yeah. So it's
And as we'll see later on, they are not empty threats. So yeah, he's like, I didn't want this life. I want to be an actual doctor, like I want to get back to my regular life. And Rupert's like, don't worry, like I'll make sure that you get your license back. I've got connections. All you have to do is repay your debt of 50,000 worlds.
yeah.
But yeah, so he's like, getting in Rupert's face, and Rupert's like, "How dare you?" And like basically like grabs him by the collars, like, "If it weren't for me, you'd be." And then like I was like, "Oh my gosh, is he having a heart attack?" And no, legit, he's having a heart attack and like passing out on the floor. I'm just picturing Matthew going like, "Oh, that solves that problem." Like just
Then he's like,
casually steps over the body.
it's like, see
I'm
ya.
going to Tijuana.
So referencing the Silver Surfer, do you actually think we ever got that movie ever that they threaten us with every couple years?
Well, we're getting Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie,
Yeah.
but it's
So
not
do
going to
you
be
think?
Norrin Rad. It's going to be Norrin Rad's girlfriend, apparently.
Yeah, but do you think we'll ever get like the solo Silver Surfer movie, which I don't think really makes sense. I don't, yeah, like I think he's a bit more of a like off to the side character. They wouldn't really make sense to do like a solo one. I don't
It's
think.
it's not even just that. And yeah, I know like we're talking Marvel who has Disney money. It's we have to figure out a way of like for at least 75% of this movie a completely digital main character in space. Like that's a lot of like visual effects they got to do. And yeah, VFX artists are not well compensated these days, shall we say?
Yeah, it's unfortunately like one of the like the last thing, and they're always like do it in a week when it's supposed to take like several just to make it look good. Yeah,
It's the same thing. It's like we'll fix it in post. It's like, well, post is slowly getting closer and closer to the deadline. So what's your definition of post? Like So we have then as Rupert's, passed out and like Matthew's like trying to, get him back on his feet. We have a quick glimpse at the Thomas Wayne Memorial Clinic or something like that, was it?
I think
And
so. Yeah,
yeah, and it's Leslie Tompkins at this, clinic in the Gotham ghetto, and she's like looking after these patients, and she goes into her office, and once again, like we have very seldom times where we see Batman actually take off the mask, like in like shot of the audience. Here they kind of do it very casually. So I was a little surprised at that. It seems like such a small detail, but when I know that Bruce Timm has said he doesn't like doing it, like, all right, like I guess maybe it's to, kind of show like the human side of Bruce here, but yeah, Leslie's like, "Oh, Bruce, what do you want?" And he's just like he's basically like collapsing right on the floor. He's like, he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, again with the drama."
Oh yeah, and then he like passes out or something like that, and like
Yeah.
something I always like don't like that they do that she actually called him like called out Bruce and
Yeah.
yeah, like and I don't know, like in Canada at least, like doctors' offices are notorious for being thin-walled. So I
Yeah.
imagine even the States is probably the same. So like imagine that, yeah, like she just called that out, and obviously like the kid saw that was Batman going in because he saw the shadow or whatever, and so like so the kid's probably still in the office going like talking to the head, the outgoing secretary or nurse or whatever to be like, okay, see ya, like come in a month to check up on whatever. So the kid's like, oh, it's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. I saw him on TV this morning. Yeah, so
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, because that's always like that's one thing that seeing like other like DC like animation stuff that like when the Justice League is out, they all refer to each other as their actual names instead of their superhero names.
Hmm.
So like so Superman and Batman are calling each other Clark and Bruce, and like if you're in the battle, like if you're trying to keep up with like a secret identity, you're fighting your fucking villain. Don't be like calling each other by because that'll be loud enough that you can hear each other like in a battle. So they're gonna figure it out eventually. So I never did like it that they when they were like in costume and stuff, like calling each other by their actual names.
I just like the episode, and was it like the finale of like the first iteration of Justice League, where they realize like they have to like blend into like the crowd of like civilians, and Flash is saying to them like, "Hold on a second, like I trust you guys, but like the whole secret identity thing," and Batman's just like Wally West, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne. He's like, "Oh,
He's like,
well,
oh, okay.
thanks for taking the fun out of it." Like, hey, you think you're pissed about that? Wait until you find out the Tower of Babel protocols on his back computer.
Oh yeah, I have the books just over the
Yeah.
right over
So yeah, she realizes like he's got like a mild concussion, and gives him like some pills and says like your father always said you were a stubborn ass.
there. You
And
know that you've got a hard head.
yeah, he's like, well, with all the falls and like head wound trauma he's gone through, he'd better have a hard head. And especially because it's not reinforced. Like it's just like freaking like nylon on his skull. And so she says like you'll be all right, just make sure that you go home and sleep. And they both kind of look at each other like, yeah, we both know that's not gonna happen. So
Yeah, she even says like not that you really follow my instructions anyway.
yeah, exactly. You're just here for the drugs, aren't you? Yes, exactly.
Or just more so to make sure I'm not dying. So
Yeah. Yeah, man, just like got like a sack, and he's just stuffing like oxycontin and painkillers.
wait a minute. Aren't you like not supposed to go to sleep if you have a concussion?
Okay, so I was thinking that exact same thing. Recently it was said that there is like it's not always that black and white. So like it says like if you can walk around, talk and stuff like that, apparently you don't have to necessarily keep yourself from falling asleep. But yeah, I have heard that exact same thing because I've like I used to play like flag football with some of my friends, and I remember a buddy of mine, he got a concussion, and like he was like, "No, man, like I'm just gonna go home and sleep." We're like, absolutely not." So I can imagine like he's probably just, like sitting, like in his chair upright, and Alfred's just like, just making sure he doesn't pass out unless he's, like having a day, and he's like, let's see what happens. Like,
Oh, I and actually it just made me think of an episode of the Flintstones, which I actually haven't watched in fucking years. But like Fred took Dino to the other like their dinosaur dog to like the vet or whatever, and whatever was wrong, he so he got like give him some pills and like a note saying like yeah give him these and make sure he doesn't fall asleep tonight or whatever for like 24 hours or for the night or whatever else. And he
mhm.
comes home, and then the rest of the family and Barney next door thinks it's for Fred or Fred. So they end up fucking keeping him up all night and stuff. And then like they cuts to like that just like in his dog bed just like sleeping, and then he's like, oh wait, yeah, like being like 90, he's like, oh wait, hey, I'm so tired, just let me go to sleep. And they're like, no, yeah, but they won't tell him why they're doing that sort of thing. I have no idea why that popped into my head. I haven't thought about this. I haven't thought about the Flintstones in fucking years.
What are you talking about? They're a modern Stone Age family. Yeah, so as Batman's, like leaving, and like we've had this brief look at the mention of Thomas Wayne on a photo of him and Leslie on the wall, and that's when we have Matthew checking in on there's interesting parallels too. I like the editing choices here because as Batman's getting looked at by Leslie, like it cuts to like Matthew looking at his brother, so like it's an interesting kind of like pacing choice there. I liked
Yeah.
that kind of mirrors the two respective storylines.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we have him saying, like you've got a tumor on your heart, and like it's so close that like if it don't doesn't get operated on, like it's bad news for you.
Yeah, I was like pushing it. I was like pushing on his heart or something like that. So I
Yeah,
saw like way I saw when he was getting riled up, young his brother. Yeah, that's gonna cause an issue. And obviously, if it's gonna get bitter, it's bigger. It's gonna you know kill him and whatnot.
yeah. So he says like we need to get you to like a proper hospital. And Rupert's like, there's no way. Like, I've got enemies who would pay for me to never come out of the surgery. And so he's like, you're gonna have to perform the surgery here. And it's like, all right, I understand what you're saying, Rupert, but you understand that like there's a reason why you have like surgeries in operating rooms because it's a sterile environment. This place looks like a cockroach is gonna crawl out of your ass. Like,
And it's just me. So if you want me to do like fucking open
yeah,
heart surgery, like I'm
like
only one person. Even if I'm like the best doctor in the world, it's only just me.
what is your anesthetic? You knock him on the head with a baseball bat? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I just get Harley's mallet and like bonk.
yeah. So he's like this is not a proper place to do this surgery, one, and two, I can't do this by myself. And so he's like, all right, well, who would you need as help? He's like, there's only one person who might be able to help me. And Rupert's like, well, whoever he is, I'll get him. I'll get the boys and make sure they come. It's like, it's not a him, it's a she, Leslie Tompkins. So we have Matthew and two of Rupert's goons show up to the door of Leslie's clinic. And what I find interesting here is kind of alluding back to what we were saying about like Rupert, or sorry, with Matthew and kind of his like moral dilemma of, this thing between his brother and wanting the life he wanted back. We see that Matthew has a little bit of a dark side here. Like just with like, I mean, they definitely made a choice with like the shadows and stuff like that to kind of hide his face. But like, I don't know how else to describe it, but he's kind of got this like holier than thou kind of attitude, like as this, I'm not supposed to be part of this, but like I have to, suck it up for my brother's sake, like I'm not a criminal, blah blah blah. But it's like you're kind of doing a medical thing without a license, so what's your definition of breaking the law, right? Like, and he kind of like, sicks the goons on them, like kind of like he's the one calling the shots. So it was interesting. Like, it's like you're kind of more like your brother than you want to admit. Like, it's like when you spend that much time around the environment that you're in, how much of it's going to influence you and how much of you are just rolling with this. Like, how much of it's bringing out your inner nature.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so I guess it's partially it's starting to resign to the fact that he's in the
Hmm.
situation, maybe too. Yeah, so might as well
Yeah.
lean into it a little bit.
Yeah. So Leslie's recognizing that it's
Yeah, yeah. He grabs starts talking about it. He's like, I remember when I took this, and then he starts talking, and it's obviously
oh
like
yeah, the photo.
her. Yeah, it's like her and Bruce, and he takes it off, and he like wrote a note, and he's like blah blah blah, like two best friends or something to that effect, and that's when she realizes it's him, or when she
Oh yeah, because
finally
I guess it's been
recognizes
like
him.
years since they've seen each other.
Yeah, because I think they were in at least medical school together, or they had like started off together or something like that. Then,
Yeah,
because that
her,
was like
Thomas, and
years.
Matthew.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's like, I need your help. Like my brother's on, like on a operating table, and like I need your help to save his life. And she's like, I'm not doing that. Like, like yeah, she's not like, let the old bastard die or anything like that. But it's like this is so immoral. Like, I'm not helping you like do this. And he's like, well, you don't exactly have a choice. So, like grabs her. So that's what I mean. He's kind of like, well, if it's helping save me, I'm willing to do this kind of thing. Like, it's like it's very low key. Like it's not like brought to the forefront of the, like the story, but it's a nice little like touch. I think that they knew that they were adding to his character depth there, but it works for the tone of it. It's kind of like he's kind of Breaking Bad is what I mean. Like it's like how far
yeah.
do you go before you're the villain?
yeah, yeah.
you
So
know,
yeah,
without
so I think.
resulting to making meth.
Well, where's the fun in that then? I guess you just need to find this Jesse then.
Yeah. Say my name.
So yeah, so then I think it cuts to Bruce, Batman, and Alfred in the Batcave, and he's like analyzing like one of the masks that he had managed to like grab from like the guys on the bridge, and
Yep.
realizes that they were attached to Rupert Thorne or something.
Yeah,
I think
Rupert Thorne
is
has
what
a
happens
laundry
there.
business, which proves our theory that he is making aprons out of Kevlar. He has his hands in many a textile pie. So yeah, he's so as he's looking at that, he also sees like the mask that's like sitting on like a dummy head, and sees the laser burn, and he's like this is like from a medical laser or something like that. So why would Rupert Thorne want a medical laser? So then we
because he says he like he thought he recognized one of the thugs that they're Rupert's thugs, yeah.
Mhm.
Thinking there at that point, yeah. So I think that's how you kind of makes the connection, yeah.
Yeah. So is that when we have them go to like Leslie's office?
Yeah,
Because he
yeah,
doesn't know
yeah.
that she's kidnapped yet, does he?
No, yeah, because it goes from that to there because she said like come back the next day. So I think there's
That's what it was. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, the two of them there, and then the office is tossed up and stuff, and then yeah, that's where Bruce sees like the picture on the ground with like the torn back and stuff, and that's I think they make the he sees that and then says Matt because it doesn't write his full name. And they brings out the basically the medical yearbook and then sees like Matt Rupert and then makes a connection that Matt and Rupert Thorne. So it was so he knows to go after Rupert.
So little detail here that I was like, well, wait a second, because he says to Alfred, like, you were with my father, like back when he was, like in medical school. So like, do you recognize the name Matthew? Is like, I do, but I don't recall the last name. It's like, well, how often are these guys hanging out? You don't recall the last name because like they called them like the Three Musketeers, so it's like they were clearly close. So like, I'm sorry, sir, I was tripping balls most of the time.
Well, that's the thing though. It's not like Thomas Wayne is like, hey, I was hanging out with buddy Matthew Thorne all the time. You're like, yeah, how often do you say somebody's like full name when he was like, hey, I was hanging out with Matt, and you just it's Matt.
Yep. Yeah, so he sees the thing and he makes a connection that, like that Matthew is Rupert's brother and realizes like, if Leslie's not here, then, like clearly she's been kidnapped by these guys. So we have then the operation, well, post-op, I should say, of Leslie being forced to, be a part of this surgery. And she's like, it's not like you gave me much of a choice. And it's like, I can't believe you would, like sink this low. So as Rupert's being wheeled off, one of the thugs says to Matthew, like, don't worry, we're gonna make sure that she, like gets taken care of. He's like, no, no, I'll
And
see
that,
her home.
no, and I think he's like cocking his gun when he does that. So,
Yeah. It's like,
which
no, we're gonna
which me
take care of her.
yeah, it just made me think. Yeah, it made me think of that conversation in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta was telling Sam Jackson that he was like needs to take out Mia for the night, and he's like take her out and like kind of points like a gun to his head. And he's like, no, like on a date. He's
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah, it's like my boss asked me to like put a hit on his wife, and I can't figure out if she's joking or not. Like, I guess we'll find out. Yeah, so like I don't understand how he didn't see that this is gonna like that's the thing with the mob. No loose ends. Like they're tighter than any ball of yarn, dude. Like it's
Yeah, because they kept on saying like, "Yo, how can you trust him?" It's like, of course, yeah, he's going to just do this, and then like he'll use his connections and stuff. But I'm sure he's been fucking saying that for fucking years, man. Because obviously,
Yeah.
like it's been like so. Yeah, obviously, it sounded like he lost his license like a while ago. It wasn't didn't seem like it was like last week, and this is like his first week out of office sort of thing. So
Yeah. If he's got the reputation of the crime doctor, that clearly means he's been at this for a while. So it's like, how long are you like are you gonna go on this, like
yeah,
this, like
the charade
Aspen,
of like.
Colorado, like ski timeshare sales pitch? Like, yeah. So as that's happening, Batman's like arriving on the scene, and okay, I don't know if you caught this. I looked at the production details to confirm. The thug who's like wheeling like Rupert Thorne out, I'm pretty sure that's Lucas from Prophecy of Doom. So he's moving up in the criminal underworld. He's gone from charlatan false prophets to working for Rupert Thorne.
Oh, to be
Working,
trusted enough to wheel him around when he's like under anesthesia.
yeah, he really
Yeah.
impressed him with his special effects. Mr. Thorne promised to give me my own last name. Yeah, so he's and what one thing is funny is like as Batman's like fighting with Lucas, uh there's this scene right before the commercial break of Lucas picking up these scalpels and he's like gonna throw it at him like they're throwing knives. And right before the commercial cut, you have this shot of Batman looking horrified, like, oh my gosh, he's gonna throw sharp objects at me. Like, Batman has never looked at the Joker like this, or like, like most of his rogues gallery, but it's like knives, like, yeah. So, um, as the thug's getting ready, the thug who doesn't know that Batman's there yet, he's talking to Matthew like, like we gotta hurry up, we gotta get rid of the old lady. He's like, well, don't worry, I'll do it on my terms. So he grabs this syringe and he's like, this will, like be quick and painless.
Yeah, we'll do it
And
clean. Yeah,
yeah, we'll do it
or
clean.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, so then we have them, he's taking the syringe of like this this chemical, and so he's like gonna put it into Leslie, and then quickly you see like he's jabbed the guy as like he's
yeah,
you know
because it kind of goes like
yeah,
under camera, so so then you just you expect her to have a reaction, but it's him, and
yeah,
yeah, he like falls to the ground. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, it's just a sedative.
yeah. So they're like he says like we gotta get out of here, we gotta get to the police, and you have this scene of Leslie like looking with this smirk on her face like, now you're talking like a doctor. It's like, okay, like flirt later, run now." Like, want a fresh anatomy lesson? So, as Batman's like fighting with the thugs, that's when we have Rupert thugs chasing Leslie and Matt up to the rooftop. So, one quick thing here is a production note. Just before this rooftop jump, apparently Frank Power was wanting to update the Leslie Tompkins character model because for anybody who's watched the show, Leslie looks like she's like easily in her mid 50s to like mid 60s. And so he's like, you're gonna have an old lady like jump off a roof and like try and get to the other side. Like that doesn't seem that, like believable, but he's like, no, keep the character model as is. So one thing apparently in the storyboard scene, they wanted her to look a little bit more sturdy. Like, I guess like I don't know, like she's not like jumping like a gymnast or something like that.
Or didn't want to look like a frail old lady.
Yeah. It's like chucking Aunt May off the roof. Like that's more dignified than like how she
Yeah.
the one more day thing.
Oh yeah, they just made me think of yeah, I saw something recently. I'm not sure how true it is, but it showed like the first like Sam Raimi Spider-Man that had like Green Goblin grabbing like its old May and like flying in the Goblin fucking whatever the fuck it is. And it
Mhm.
was said like the whatever her name is in real life like did all her own stunts in the Sam Raimi movies and stuff. So and she was like in her like 70s or something like that. Apparently, her it looks like actually like old like grandma grandma Aunt May instead of Aunt May.
She is
So just
still
it's
alive
like
as of the time of this recording. I think she's
so
close to 100 years old.
yeah, so it just made me think of her. Yeah, so she can do her own stunts in a Sam Raimi movie. I'm sure Leslie Tompkins can jump a rooftop.
You know what? I also just on the Spider-Man note, Willem Dafoe agreed to come back for No Way Home on one condition. They would let him do his own stunts. He's like mid 60s. So like remember that brutal scene in the condo where he's fighting Spider-Man? That's all Willem Dafoe. I mean, like wire work, obviously, and like different takes and special effects, but damn, like Dafoe is packing, man. Like,
I need to watch that again. It's been a while.
yeah.
I'm sure
So,
it's probably. I imagine they're on the Disney Plus or something, right? I imagine.
oh,
I
I would
think.
suspect so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, as we noted in this post-Craven world that we're in, Sony's pretty much like, all right, nerds, you win. We're not making any more Spider-Man, not Spider-Man movies. Like,
Well, if you just make not shitty movies, man, like they'd be better received. Like, come
yeah,
on.
you know what I've learned about it is just like we have the IP for Spider-Man, so in order to retain that copyright, we have to make characters based off of like they were legit gonna make way back when they were still doing the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy. I'm not even kidding you. They wanted to make an Aunt May prequel movie where she was like a special secret agent. I'm not even kidding you. Like, by all means, you want to make a Sinister Six movie and
They
somehow
they
not make that Spider-Man related? Fine, go
they try
nuts.
they tried to
Aunt
Alfred her.
May? Like, are
It
you
works for
living?
Al. That works for Alfred, but not Aunt May. Yeah, because she's
Yeah.
just Aunt May. So, no offense to her, but
Like,
I know in some iterations of Spider-Man, like his like parents were like secret like agents or some sort, or I'm not sure if that's like prime continuity or if it's all but anyway, like yeah, it's like yeah, do that or something, but not a fucking Aunt May. That doesn't make sense.
the more I learn about like these CEOs and these studio executives and their rationale for why they greenlight these projects, I'm like, you guys are in the to paraphrase Kevin Smith, in Hollywood, you just fail upwards.
Yeah, Coke, money, and power never mix well.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make for sane decision making sometimes.
So back to the old lady that is Leslie Tompkins, making nearly getting to the other side of the roof as Matthew's managing to grab her by the hand. She's just about to slip, and that's when Batman comes in and saves her. And I'm just picturing her going, "Mommy!" And he's like catching her like Tarzan. And he's like, "I finally say," he's like, he has like one of those like Andrew Garfield. It's like, "Are you okay? Yeah. Are you okay? I'm okay." And then we have this really nice button on the end of the episode because I guess
And to speak on like nice transitions and stuff, he kind of sees Matthew kind of like up in the balcony, kind of looking up, and then it kind of and then he looks down. He's sitting in the interrogation room, or whatever, at the police station. So it's
mhm,
another like, nice little editing transition, or there's sort of a nice little bit of animation there. I like
yeah,
that transition.
Frank Power knows how to really humanize a lot of these stories and like just make them like really put you in the character's shoes as you're watching it.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, we have Frank Power in the police station, and he hears the door open, and it's Bruce Wayne, and he's like, Dr. Thorne, I'm Bruce Wayne, and I heard that you're gonna testify against your brother, and I'd like to help you get your license back. And he's like, oh yeah, what's in it for you? He's like, I'm not doing this for like money or a special favors. He's like, aren't you? He's like, well. there is one thing you could help me with. I'm like,
And he's
synthetic
like, I knew
cartilage,
it. He's like,
synthetic cartilage.
he's like, I knew it. There's always something. I'm not doing anything for you. And then he just says like, nice human moment. He's like, yeah, just tell me about my father. Yeah. Then he just kind of realizes and has a nice
Yeah.
smile and then kind of fades off. The episode kind of fades off like about that. So I definitely like that.
Yeah, one quick note is the animation when like Bruce says like, "Can you tell me about my father, please?" Like you see the 10-year-old boy in Bruce's face.
Yeah.
Like just this pure vulnerability and like, just like pleading with him. He's like, I only remember like so much of my father. Like, can you please tell me about the kind of person he was?" Like it's this desperation and also just this like I am begging from you, just like, please just let me know the man my father was. And it's really nice. And I like how, yeah, it ends with they're clearly talking, but we don't hear what they're saying. And it just leaves it to the audience's, imagination. I really love that.
So here, yeah. Back in doctor school, we used to crush it all the time. It's like, oh, I didn't want to hear this. Chicks love doctors. It's like, damn it, I knew I should have wanted to be a dog, become a doctor instead of fucking Batman.
Well, I've been saying, like, Thomas Wayne and Leslie hooked up. Like, before Martha, I will give you that, Batman fans. He did not have an affair, but they definitely had a it was the 70s. They had some time together.
So, what would you give this episode out of five crime doctors?
I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 5.
That's
Um,
nice.
I'm not always a fan of the plain clothes kind of episodes of BTOS, but this was a good one. As long as you get to the heart of the story, which I think they did, then I think it works. And it's really good direction from Frank Power, and I think really good transitions between the two stories kind of meeting up in the end. And yeah, no, it knows how to when to close in and when to pull back. So it was really good and very mature.
Yeah, I think I'm giving it a 3.5 as well. Just nice humanize Batman a little bit there. Just realize he's not just out there punching criminals in the face and whatnot and staying up all night. But yeah, yeah. Did you remember watching this episode like in the first run?
No, not at all. This was
Yeah, I
my
think
first time seeing it,
yeah, I
and
think I
I liked it.
did. Yeah, I think I was definitely not a wasn't like high repeat yet, but I think I did have seen this episode like once or twice, and definitely at the time I probably wouldn't have known that it was definitely for like a comic story instead, because like yeah, because I think I said before at this time like I hadn't really read any Batman before reading this, so wouldn't have known what was from the comics or what was made up by them sort of thing until like well afterwards. But yeah, so I think I'll give this 3.5 out of 5 possible 5 crime doctors. And all right, folks, that is the episode for this week. Thanks. Oh yeah, and by the way, this we didn't mention that. Happy New Year's, everybody! This is our first episode of 2025. So hopefully the year is well for everybody, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for joining us in the Batcave this week to talk about Batman the animated series. Next week's episode will be Alakazam Zatanna, which I think I've seen probably at least once because I remember I have a vague memory of seeing like a Zatanna episode, but like I don't think it was on high repeat, so I don't really remember. Uh, I think we might be a thing where like might be like where he was dealing with the father, like the father Zatanna, Papa Zatanna, and I think they had a nice little like almost thing or something, or they were kind of like flirting or may have hooked up or something. Yeah, then he like took off, and then she's like all pissy or something. I think, or I
Definition of
might be
Batman's
thinking of
love life, almost a
it. Yeah,
thing.
no, true, yeah, true, yeah. So I saw that. So I'm not sure if that's like this this series or if it was another anime thing or not. So I guess we'll find out next week. And you can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast, and we are on YouTube now at youtube.com/at Beyond the Backcast. So check us out there, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate, review, subscribe. It'll help us out. And where can we find you on there, Net Brayton?
You can find me on Instagram at Alfred is Zaddy, and you can also
Exactly.
find us on Discord, Beyond the Backcast. Just go on our Instagram, Beyond the Backcast, and you'll find our link tree with all the little links that lead to our discussion pages on both this show and other Batman related things. We still haven't talked about the new DCU Superman trailer. So yeah, maybe we'll get that started later on sometime this week, and yeah, we can get your guys' thoughts on what you think the new iteration of the DC Cinematic Universe should be.
All right, yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at StumpChunkman. And yeah, as I said, thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman, the animated series at Beyond the Batcast. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.